What is going on, folks? This is Adam. That is me. And you are tuning into the first ever recorded Onewheel GT ride. We call these raw runs, but let's be honest, this video is nearly an hour long. And I cut a few parts to shorten it up, save some minutes. But I guess if you're watching the whole thing, you've already committed to it. And I appreciate you for that. Anyway, I'm stoked on this because this is the first time we're putting out a full entire ride on the Onewheel GT, and this thing rips. I'm filming this on GoPro 360, hence the shadow, and throughout the video I try to change the perspective every once in a while, but let's get into it. So basically, we're going on an adventure today. I'm starting off at the Future Motion headquarters, and it's going to be an adventure ride. This isn't a range test. This is not a speed test. There are two main priorities on this ride: is to ride this friggin' board and have a great time, and also be able to provide some very beneficial feedback for our team back at headquarters about how the board rides, and all that good stuff. So on this ride, I'm gonna start off with some hills. I think it's a common question. A lot of people are asking, can this handle the hills? It totally can handle the hills, and just you wait. This ride, I do over 1,300 feet of elevation gain in 5 miles. That is, if you understand that concept, then that means that's a lot of climbing for 5 miles. And I do it really quickly, and I'm super surprised at it. And we're actually coming up on the steepest part of the entire ride right now. This street that we're about to go up averages 12% for the first quarter mile. So 12% incline is pretty dang steep. Would definitely put you out of breath if you're on a bicycle, and definitely requires some more, just a little bit more effort from a device like this. So 12.4 miles in total is my round trip, and then you'll see it's a good mix of pavement and trail. I hit some single track at the end, so if you're committed to staying tuned to the end, we rip some single track. And yeah, this is just like 100% pure Onewheel GT. This is also one of the first handful of times I'm really getting to ride this thing how I ride. So obviously I'm padded up. I got the knee pads on, got my helmet, I'm wearing gloves. Basically my mountain biking attire, but it translates very well into the Onewheel GT lifestyle. So let's talk about this board. Holy smokes, if you haven't noticed already, I am cruising and cruised up that first part of the hill. That kind of blew my mind when I first rode up it, because I've gone up that hill on XR before, and you really got to rely on catching that green light and getting that momentum going into the first pitch. But then you also have to, like, that kind of feeling when you're pushing the XR to its climbing limits, and you need to really be weightless in a way. There's none of that. I didn't need to even bother with that, because this thing just chugged up that climb, no big deal. Let's dive in. Let's just monkeys out of the bottle. Pushback. There's been a lot of talk on the web about pushback. Does this have the pint pushback? No, it does not. This is Onewheel GT, not Onewheel pint. Therefore, it has Onewheel GT pushback, which I would call it a happy medium between the original pint and XR. So it's a little bit more there than the XR. I feel like XR, it's there. Pushback's real, but you kind of have to learn it and understand where it's at. There's so many factors that go into when people get pushback and whatnot. But yeah, we're just cruising right now. I've hit pushback. I hit pushback so many times on this on this ride, and that's not a bad thing. I am actually very happy that I hit pushback a lot because I'm new to this board. This is a new experience. I'm very excited to ride it, so therefore I'm like definitely pushing it at times, pushing myself at times, because it just feels so good. It feels so comfortable to ride this board on both pavement and off-road. And don't let the 360 camera fool you, because it's not. I'm going really fast right now, and I'm still climbing. There's a small incline, but we're going super fast, like definitely 16 plus, and feeling really comfortable. This is something I wouldn't be able to do on any other board. And this road is a little bit tough. You see those cracks there, so I get a little wobbly. But anyway, so the pushback is going to happen when it does, and that kind of is coming from feedback from me. You know, I'm riding this board and I'm taking it out, and we're able to bring it back in, and I'll be like, you know, it was hitting here, but maybe like maybe we work around this. And it's so cool to be part of that process, to dial in the ride, the feel of this board. It's really awesome, and it's a great honor and privilege, let's be honest. Right there, I am rocking the Love Hump foot pad. Oh my gosh. I am so stoked on the Love Hump. That's actually like the OG prototype Love Hump. And I just love it so much, because it was a kind of like an idea we were talking about, how you could give yourself a little bit more of an ergonomic feel on the back foot pad, but also bring in better like foot stability while you're off-road specifically. And what do you need to do to achieve that? And basically, I kind of have this theory where, you know, concavity is great, especially on the sides, and the kick, it's great. It keeps you locked in. If you've ever ridden a concave foot pad, some people, you know, it's just not for some people, but I think in general, people realize that it gives you more control, more grip, more confidence being on a board. And with the Love Hump, what it really does is it sits in the middle of your foot. So whether you have, unless you have completely flat feet, like it may affect you a little bit. And I will say, I don't think the Love Hump's going to be for everybody, but I do think those that love to ride hard, want more control overall, and love to take turns really fast, the Love Hump enables that. I've never felt more comfortable taking toe side turns on a one wheel than I do utilizing the Love Hump, because of the center hump. You get this support when you go and you're turning with your the ball of your foot.
That's my
and
wife.
My wife just passed by in that car, but yeah, it was really funny. So I'm like hitting pushback a little bit there, going uphill, because I'm cruising. I'm on a main road right now, I'm cruising. The Love Hump really allows you to have extra support as you're doing those maneuvers, and it's kind of just inspired by, you know, better ergonomics on the foot, and then also kind of that idea that you have on the deck of a surfboard at the wide point. Some surfboards, they tend to have like a very, very slight arch on the deck that goes across the wide point, and I've always found that like being barefoot and being on a board like that gives me a lot more control as I'm trying to turn. And yeah, we all just like sat down and kind of thought about it, and then started cutting up pieces of material to put on a foot pad, and now it's a real thing, and I am stoked on it. I'm stoked for everybody to get out there and that wants it or gets a Love Hump to ride it, hear their feedback. Because if you saw this social media clip on Instagram where I was like, I am totally stoking right now, it was real, because that was the first time I rode the Love Hump, and it was pretty much exactly how I envisioned it to be. So we are cruising up a fairly steep hill. That dude's walking his bike because this hill is too much for him to bike up. That should be an indicator of how steep this is. Again, I will gain by 5 miles into this ride 1,300 feet of elevation gain, which is pretty nuts. It's like a mountain bike ride, basically. But I wanted to show the differences in this ride of riding on road and also taking some pretty like main streets, you know, not just taking paths and bike lanes and everything. I mean, I'm in a bike lane, but I'm technically on the street. I am so excited right now because I didn't come to a full stop right there, but I was like, the acceleration on this thing is just so insane in the best possible way. If I would have, you know, really tried to accelerate that on an XR, it probably wouldn't have been able to like keep up with me, and that's fine because this is Onewheel GT and this is what it's all about. This is the next level in one-wheeling, so I hope y'all are just excited as I am for that. So let's see, let's talk about the feel of the board. Obviously, we have a different tire profile, and it's treaded. I have been riding on the treaded the last few times I've went out for rides, and I love it. I think it's a nice moderate tread pattern. It reminds me of, I do a lot of cycling, and it reminds me of like a gravel tire where you have the tread to help you out, but it still has like a performance profile. So it still does really well on the pavement, as you could tell. And I'm only getting a little squirrely there because the white line, it'll do it to you. But you kind of like, you settle into this groove with this tire, and it's really easy to just rock back and forth like so. Even if it's just little micro carbs, you know, it's so much easier than the Vega that was on the XR, and that's what it was all about, is making a much more carvable tire, and I think it achieved that. So, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, folks, like, I would not be riding this fast on any other board, especially up a hill. So this, like, I am relaxed, I'm feeling confident. It's like there's no point with riding this board where I felt like it wasn't enough. There are times where I have to dial myself back because it's so comfortable and such a good ride, and that's why I really like love and respect the pushback, because it's really easy, especially with the one-wheel experience, to get like caught up in wanting to go faster or wanting to push it to its limits. And the way that this board is designed, it's so comfortable to ride that it's really easy to do that and kind of forget that you're cruising at like a pretty high speed for being sideways on a board and being on one wheel. So I really love the fact that pushback is kicking in where it was at. For me, it was hitting about 19.5 miles an hour, and I think that's perfect. You know, we're still testing some things, and I cut that because I aired down my tire. Had to get the tire PSI down just a little bit to go off road. I like a little soft tire, especially it rained a lot in the days before, and the trails were pretty washed out. There was a lot of debris and a lot of like washboard, and I just wanted a little bit more cushion from that tire. And yeah, we're just like cruising uphill again, and I'm able to hit a little side berms, side hits going uphill, and it's pretty dang impressive. So treaded tire rides beautifully. We talked about the love hump. Let's talk about the freaking front front concave foot pad. Holy smokes. This is like always been a dream to have. And I think everybody who's ridden their Onewheel long enough is like, front concave could be where it's at. And it's where it's at, you know. It keeps you locked in. I prefer to ride with my back foot closer to the tire. It allows me to have more control of the board, and ultimately with that love hump, it's like you're fully in control of this board, unless you know, lose the rail, as we would say. But my front foot is just on there, and it's really nice having that extra security for if you do hit like a little divot in the trail, where the tire gets like bucked a little bit and you get shot forward. The front concave's beautiful for that, because it allows you to like kind of have that extra security of catching you, if you do like have one of those moments off-road, which you're going to have that, or you've had it if you ride a lot. And then the grip tape, I mean, super coarse grip tape, which is amazing. Even, I think the first thing people also probably say is like, dude, why aren't you riding with a fender on? Because you will see, I get not like really muddy, but I gotta go through some stuff. And, you know, that's the case for the fender. You'll see how dirty my shoes get, and that would be why you want a fender on. So there's my marketing for that, just a case use. But no, I really love riding without a tire. Without a fender. Okay, folks. Without a fender, because it just feels like when I have a fender on and you hear like, let's say like the little rocks and everything, or things can get caught up in there. Definitely if it's super wet out, but like, I just love the feeling without a tire. Feel more connected to the board in a way. But yeah, I'm just cruising up here on this Friar Road right now, and I tried to get, I was like, on your left, and the guy just was too busy telling a story to his friends. So yeah, front concave is dope, and y'all are going to love the front concave. Let's see, overall board feel, maybe some tasting notes. Gosh, it feels like you're on a bullet train drinking chocolate, like hot chocolate milk, and it's creamy, but it's also rugged. The overall board feel is great. I mean, this combination that I have that I'm riding on is like, this is what I'm going to get. I'm going to get the love hump. I'm going to have the treaded tire, and you know, I'll have the fender for those times, but this is it. Maybe definitely some rail guards, clear rail guards for sure. You want to keep that thing crisp. I kind of like, it's like on my mountain bike and stuff, I put ride wrap, which protects the frame. It's just always, it's a good thing to do. You know, you invest money in a product, and you want to keep it as fresh as you possibly can. But let's see. Whew. Yeah, so again, not a range test, folks, not a speed test. I did start this ride on 100% battery, and after we're done, I think I was at 35%. So 12.5 miles and 35% left. And I'm pushing, like, I'm not like riding as hard as I possibly can, but I'm definitely seeing like, this is way faster than I'd go on an XR. This is pretty fast for just like cruising, and I try to keep that momentum the entire time, except for a little bit later in the video, I get a little fatigued and slow down. Oh, this is a saucy part right here. I almost lost the edge right there. Oh, yeah, that's what it's all about. Those are the moments that get me super pumped up, when I have to catch myself, catch the edge, and like just recover. If you're able to do that, otherwise, you better have the reaction time to jump off, run it out. When in doubt, run it out, people. That is the most important thing to do. I saw a comment, somebody was saying that like you shouldn't run out because you're gonna blow out your knees. And you know what, to each their own. But I'm always like I'm always on the edge, you know? It's like you're on a single tire. Of course something could happen. It happens earlier. I tried to cross a creek and it's like, you know, if this wheel goes in this divot, that's it. So that's just how it is. So we are almost at the top of the elevation point that I will be at, and on my app it said that I had only gone down 64 feet to this point, which is like pretty. I think that goes to show that I've been at a pretty consistent incline, whether that moderate or very steep. And this thing just crushed it, like totally outperformed what I thought was kind of possible. And just keep going. It's also my longest one-wheel ride in a very long time. I can't remember the last time I rode 12 miles on a wheel, just like at one time in less than an hour. So we're crossing the street here. And then we're gonna go into these other trails, and trails are open, signs to the side, we're good. Quick note, I'm just more stoke from me. 330. Yeah, I think I was stoking on being able to ride up 1,300 feet, because that's super impressive. For the board and for myself. And now it's open downhill fire road. Slow down at a few points because there are some muddy bits, but this is where it really starts to feel like snowboarding. Just cruising down this fire road. This board is like, this is the one-wheeler's board, you know, like this is straight up. This is going to take so many people, so many places, and like on so many adventures. Oh, I gotta wipe the lens off. And on so many adventures that I am so excited for people to start like posting their own ride videos. And you know, I don't think we could do with too many 1 hour plus Onewheel GT ride videos in the world, but I'm really excited to see how they push this board when they get theirs. And if you're a prospect, I mean, hopefully this video gives you some stoke that like, this is a legitimate thing. This is a ride I would do on my gravel bike, on my mountain bike for fun. And like, I felt so comfortable this whole ride. And can't say there's anything that I'm like, oh, this wasn't that great. Almost woofed it right there. There's a kid sitting there at the crossroads. He probably was like, what is that guy doing? But now it's pretty chill riding. I'm just going. I'm like, I want to see like how I can maintain a high speed for. And the thing did it, which is awesome. But so yeah, range, like I can't wait to test the range. I really haven't. I mean, that's a 32 miles. That's like, you need to be able to do 16 miles an hour in 2 hours to achieve that. So chances are, if you live in a hilly area, you won't be able to do that. And it will take you longer. I don't know when I'm going to be able to ride a full battery in a day, but maybe a weekend. But like, that is super nuts. 32 miles in range. Top speed's perfect. I think that, you know, you kind of have to like think about how fast you can go on this thing. And like some people they compare other ridables to this. They're like, well, EUC goes X miles per hour so much faster. And I think like a lot of people miss the point that it's like one-wheeling isn't about the speed. You know, the range is great now. Like really, if you need more than 32 miles in a day, then you need more than 32 miles in a day. Like I certainly don't, and I think majority of folks don't. So it's going to be nice having something that you don't have to like charge up every single time to go. Something that you could feel confident ripping down at 35%. And it's going to still be able to perform. It's like if you've seen the power band curve in the presentation when we launched this, like the higher speed you have, like the torque is there, the power is there. It's a confident machine. I think this is where I try to cross this. I'm kind of like, nope, just jump off. But I was also getting a little fatigued at this point. I mean, I've just been crushing, stoking. This thing is amazing to ride, and still got a long ways to go. But let's see, what else can we talk about? GT versus Pint X. We did like a back-to-back ride. So I was riding Onewheel GT and then hopped on Pint X, and it was actually really cool. It was a cool little like getting saucy there. Shucks. It was a cool little experience because you would think like, oh, you jump on Pint X, it's smaller, it doesn't have as much power or range, it's not going to feel as cool. It's its own experience, and I love Pint X for that. I love Pint X for really like where it shines, and I think where it shines is in the city or like around town when you just want to, you know, cruise, go out for a ride, run errands. You could use it as transportation. Like you want something small, something manageable. Pint X is the real deal for that. But with Onewheel GT, this is the real deal for everything. I mean, just look at this. Pure cruise control right here. You can't, like, I can't fake this. I can't fake the speed. This is not sped up. I'm just going fast. No, but really, like, I was at my comfort level, with the exception of a lot of these puddles and stuff. Like, I kind of know this fire road like the back of my hand, but when it gets washed out like this, there are all these little streams and runoffs that you get that kind of like change your line that you knew when you would ride down it, like this right here. Usually I'm setting myself up to go over, they have like these little like speed humps in a way, and I'm setting myself up to go over one of those, but now there's basically a little pond in the middle of the trail. And what I was saying right there is, don't ride through that. Don't ever ride through big things of water like that. We're definitely confident in our products, but like that's just silly if you ride through stuff like that. It's an electronic at the end of the day. These things are water resistant, but like don't go, you know, trying to ride through a foot of water. That's just silly. Anyway, look at this. This is, oh man, this was a great feeling. It was romping downhill, and gosh, my thighs were like burning at the end of this. And then we still haven't even hit the single track yet. That's like in another 10 minutes or so. I don't know if I'll get there talking, but do know on the single track, got a little tired, had to take a break halfway through it, and kind of took my time down it. Didn't really like go too hard. I was still going fast, but like my feet were definitely, I'm not in my one-wheel form. I feel like summer is usually when I'm in my best one-wheeling form, going into winter, and we've been focused on launching some products. So I really just like haven't been going out for long rides lately, and that's okay. but just look at the roost coming off of this. That tire. Whew. That is awesome. Dang. But always trying to keep my composure, keep my line, especially like, but this thing makes it so easy to feel so comfortable. That tire is just like, rolls perfect right there. I almost, there, it's like, which way do I take? Oh no, oh, it's coming up. Here it is, boom, find your line. This tire is really nice, especially when you air down a little bit off-road. It gives gives a lot more traction. And I also love the suppleness of the carbs once you have a little bit less air in there. So we're still cruising. I mean, a half hour in, I keep talking, people. If you're watching, I appreciate you. Please make sure you're subscribed to the Onewheel YouTube channel. We are definitely going to be putting out way more content for both Onewheel GT and Pint X. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do the little bell notification so you get ringed when we have videos. We're really excited for what's to come when these products get in people's hands and y'all could really, you know, just experience this, because as far as I know, I'm really like the only person that's kind of taken it this far, you know, and like really done proper rides. And I can't wait to see what people do. Like, race for the rail next year? My gosh, it's gonna be sick. But yeah, this is a little saucy section. Little saucy section, kind of like it's just in and out, you know. It's these like tire ruts and your tires going in between them. It's a little sketch. And oh, a little skirt. And then we're going uphill again, and it's just like there's no doubt in the effort that like you just go, you point it and it goes. And it feels so awesome to have that power and that torque and be able to achieve like the acceleration that you can. And it's only going to get better. The more that our team rides it, the more feedback we provide, the ride experience is going to improve, and I'm already super pumped on it. So I'm being super authentic when I say that too. I'm not just marketing to you because I work for the company. I'm being real here. This is like this is a legitimate product right here. And at $2,200, I happen to think that's a steal. Do a little sales pitch right there. Seriously, $2,200 for a Onewheel GT. I have a full suspension mountain bike that cost almost 3 times as much as that. It does not have one bit of electronics in it, and it, you know, it's still like, it's great. I love it. But when you actually look at the technology that's on it, it's like not mega impressive. You have some hydraulic brakes and air shocks that have been around for a while. And yeah, so the fact that you could get a Onewheel GT and do this type of ride over and over again to your heart's desire, take it on all sorts of adventures, you know, I think it's awesome, and I think it's pretty dang impressive to be able to provide that in that way. And you know, it's a premium product, so for some people it is very expensive, and I totally understand. But when you compare it to like a lot of different things, it's actually really good. I was kind of talking to my friend the other day, and I was like, you know, you could get like an amateur pro consumer full frame camera for $2,000, give or take a couple $100 on both ends. And that's cool, but then you have to buy a lens. And if you want a good lens, you're probably gonna spend another $1,000. Oh, I stopped there and I just need to take a quick break, wipe off the foot pads, and just give a moment of gratitude for this ride. And I don't know, just like really lucky and fortunate. And But you're gonna, back to the camera, I'm bouncing around. Back to the camera, you're gonna buy a lens, and then you gotta get a memory card, and then you need to get like, you know, cloud storage or hard drives, and you get all these extra things, and you want a good camera, it actually ends up costing quite a bit of cash. So with that camera body, it's kind of useless in a way, unless you get the lens. So it's like you could have a cool camera body with no lens, or you could have a Onewheel GT. That was my that was my little crazy sales pitch. Now we're into the single track, folks. Now we're into the fun. A little tired at this point. I mean, I've ridden probably 8 miles and just been charging, like super consistent with my speed and momentum. Oh, there we go. Also on this single track, I think I'm wiping the lens again. On this single track, you gotta take it easy, because like all the washboard is so nuts. So you kind of like, it burns your thighs, get the foot fatigue from like trying to avoid all the roots. And then also you have to be super careful that there's like no hidden wet spots underneath these leaves. Because once you hit that, it's like especially at these speeds, it's very hard to recover from. That's a little trail tip for you, like things that you're looking out for when you're riding in different, like wetness and all that stuff. So, had to do a little saucy move right there. Hairpin turn. Very nice of this kind mountain biker to stop and let me go. As always, folks, you know, Onewheels, they are still in a lot of people's eyes new and new and different technology that looks weird and may not appease the passerby all the time, and that's okay. But we can do our best as a community to, you know, just do proper trail etiquette, and just know that like Onewheels are at the bottom of the food chain. Here I go to the side, slow down, and I think that's like the best thing you could do, is just let everybody have priority, unless they're like some of the kind folks that I passed that, you know, get off to the side and let you keep ripping. And much love and appreciation to those kind people. But in general, you know, turn off the side of the trail. If you don't have enough room where you can comfortably do so, stop, dismount, hold your board, wait for the people or the horses or the animals to pass, and then keep ripping. And just know that like it's all good. And yeah, at this point, I'm feeling good. There's a really fun turn coming up where you could hit it with a fair amount of speed, except right over here it kind of gets a little yeah. But like these next few turns are pretty fun, and it's even funner with this combo of the treaded tire, the love hump, and then the acceleration that you get coming out of those turns. Like that is where this thing is like really next level. You go through a turn and you can accelerate and like get sideways, and you can really have control of that. And like this turn right here is super fun. I always hated toe side turns. Because it was hard. It's hard with like a flat foot pad or even a concave one. You get this huge gap between from the ball of your foot all the way to the back ball of your foot, your heel, and it's like you're kind of like gripping with your toes if you can, obviously wearing shoes, but like it's really hard to keep that edge as you're on a toe side turn. And now it's just like I almost feel just as comfortable on toe sides as heel sides. So I'm pretty stoked on that. Getting a little loose here, getting tired, but still like not wanting to let you all down if you're 40 minutes into this ride video. 39 and a half to be exact, I think. But we're just cruising down this, trying to like watch out for those, like I call it like black ice of the trail, because it might look dry or it might look fine, and then you go over it and you make the slightest turn and then board goes out from under you. So I'm trying to keep myself looking down, but also looking ahead to see if anybody's coming, because that's super important when you're trail riding and you're on single track. But yeah, pretty fun. Let's see, what can we talk about now? Pads, helmet. I really, it's important that folks wear the proper protective equipment when riding a one wheel. And I think it is going to be really important for folks that ride something like Onewheel GT to be conscious of that. Like, that's why I'm wearing knee pads. And it's not because of the device, but it's what the wheel allows me to do. It's like, it's more comfortable. The tire's more carvy. It's faster. It's more powerful. There's more torque, which all that together enables me to have a higher elevated experience than I've ever had on a one wheel. But with that, you got to think it's like the risk reward type thing. The faster you go, the harder you push it, the higher the risk is, and the higher the reward is. You'll get like a super adrenaline, maybe going through some single track, but like, you got to be careful and you got to know your limits. And that's why pushback's great, to kind of be there as a little hand holder and saying, hey, maybe, just maybe you should slow down. But really it's telling you, hey, you need to slow down. You need to chill out, because you're gonna get to a point of no return. You're pushing me past my capabilities as a electrical device, and I just want you to know that. And that's kind of like the warning sign. So pushback is sick. Respect pushback, folks. I know I said it like 20 minutes ago, but just gonna say it again. Yeah, I took a little break there. It's like stretching the feet out. This last section is always really tough after it rains, because it washes out and then you see it gets sun, so it dries up and it gets really hard. So it's like super packed down ruts and washboard, and at this point in the ride, I'm just like, my legs are tired. And it's really fun section of the trail too, so it's kind of right there. I'm getting like all over the place with the camera, and it's just whatever. Yeah, filming this on the GoPro 360 Max. It's a good camera. I like it. It enables you to capture the whole point of view, even though you get that wide view, wide lens look. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't mind it. I think you don't really want to use this if you're making a motion picture that's gonna try to win an award, but it's great for sharing like the full experience. Hopefully you get to see that. And yeah, oh, you know what I wanted to mention, which was pretty funny, is I bought so we have a Hero 10, GoPro Hero 10, and I wanted to get they have like a new wide angle lens that you could put on there to make it like 150 degree angle perspective. And I got it, and on their website it doesn't say anything about it not working with the Hero 10. And I should have done a little bit more research, but it turns out that they don't have the firmware out for that lens to be compatible with the Hero 10 yet. This is November 12th that I'm recording this voiceover, so hopefully by the time, sometime in the future it'll come out. But like, I thought it was funny because ultimately I didn't care. I was like, okay, I'll just use a 360 camera. And I think it ended up looking really awesome anyway. Did have to like edit all the keyframes. These two were really nice. The lady's like, I hope you're having fun. Did have to edit all the keyframes to make sure I'm still in the center of the frame for the most part, which could take some time. I think the Hero Max lends itself to be more of like a social clip, short clips, unique perspectives, creative, dynamic, creative maneuvers with the sphere of the 360 camera. But yeah, I'm stoking after that ride. I mean, this board is just so awesome, and it's just like I wanted to keep going after I was done with this ride, but ultimately I had to go eat lunch. So I rode a Pint X to go eat lunch, which was actually a nice little transition. It's like going from your lifted truck to your sports car. If you're fortunate enough to have those. I have neither, but I could envision those things in Onewheels. Wow, where are we at now? 45 minutes. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you. I hope you've enjoyed my ride thus far. I am going to close out my remarks right now, even though there will still be another less than 10 minutes or so to go, but I'll leave you with the natural sounds of the Onewheel GT. And yeah, expect more content soon. Subscribe to the Onewheel YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram, and just get ready for life to get more awesome, because the Stoke is real, people. The future is rad, and don't sleep on the Onewheel GT. Yep. See ya.
You kidding me? That's like a serious ass adventure right there. Oh, look at this hill. Deal. Bike tour right here. Done a couple bike tours myself. Seattle, then you're going to Mexico?
Yeah, like to San
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dude, getting good weather or a little rainy?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But now it's great. Like, there is a loop around Seattle that's called like Washington Park's route. And it's like very difficult, and that one was really nice, but then there was kind of a rainy season after the mountains.
Yeah.
And then I switched on to Seattle.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're having a hell of a time.
Yeah. Enjoy your day too.
You too, man.
Great day.
Enjoy Santa Cruz.
Thank you.